We welcome to the program now Caleb Sailors, Multimedia Journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News.
Get a little Johnny Cougar. I mean, he is the guy that said, "Ain't that America?" So, got to be a patriotic song.
All right, Caleb, what is going on here in the state of Mississippi that you guys in the news department have been so diligently tracking there?
Well, right now, both of us have our collars out today, so I like that. It's a collar out kind of day. Big news, you were just talking about it before the last break, was, Congressman George Santos being ousted. Congressman Michael Guest from here in Mississippi, the head of the House Ethics Committee, led the charge to get him out of office, to expel him from the body. George Santos, very controversial. The House Ethics Committee released a 56-page report in mid-November detailing what he had done. He had misappropriated funds that were supposed to be directed for his campaign, was paying for things such as OnlyFans and spa trips and personalized shoes, and kind of living a life of luxury on money that was coming from donations for his campaign. He had, George Santos now is saying that this is setting a bad precedent, that what Michael Guest is doing and the House Ethics Committee and the body as a whole is setting a dangerous precedent that'll have future ramifications, essentially saying that they can kind of get rid of people for whatever reason, but it takes a 2/3 vote to get rid of a congressman. Yep. So I don't know about the dangerous precedent it sets, because he's saying, though, that I haven't been convicted of a crime. The other 5 that have been expelled before me were all convicted of crimes. I haven't, but he has been indicted on 23 counts relating to wire fraud, bank fraud, credit card fraud. I mean, just any kind of fraud. He's been indicted on it and looks to possibly face criminal charges. So,
Botox. He purchased Botox, right? Ferragamo shoes and Botox.
Yeah. That doesn't, I don't know how that advances your campaign any. I mean, this isn't the John F. Kennedy days where you're trying to look pretty on TV for anything. I don't know.
Botox.
And so he's the first member of Congress to be expelled. The most first since 2002. Ohio Democrat Jim Traficant was ousted that year, 2002. So it's been 21 years since we've had someone expelled from Congress, and George Santos is now the latest one to be ousted from the chamber.
Well, good riddance is what I say. So we'll see what happens next. All right, what's going on here in the state of Mississippi? You guys have been watching closely.
So it looks like Jason White he's been the Speaker Pro Tem of the Mississippi House of Representatives. He was kind of selected unanimously in a closed-door meeting to be the next Mississippi Speaker of the House. We've known this. It's kind of the worst-kept secret in the state of Mississippi that he would be the next House of Representatives. He'll be formally voted on January 2nd, and barring unforeseen circumstances, he will replace Philip Gunn, which, Philip Gunn said, he was historical Speaker of the House of Mississippi, first Republican since Reconstruction, and now he's passing the torch on to Jason White, and Jason White will be passing his Speaker Pro Tem torch down to Manley Barton. And so now, we'll get to the legislative session here in a few weeks, and, lawmakers have a lot to discuss. Tax cuts. Governor Tate Reeves told me on Election Day that one of the things he will try to do if reelected, which he's since been reelected, is cut the income tax in Mississippi.
It's his top priority, I believe.
It is.
Yeah.
And he wants to cut income taxes. They're going to have to deal with health care crisis. You had Quentin Whitwell on yesterday, or 2 days ago, talking about, the ramifications if CMS rejects the governor's plan to have Medicaid drawbacks at hospitals if he doesn't expand Medicaid coverage in the state. So they'll have to address that. They'll have to address school choice or teacher pay, other policies. And so big session coming up, and Jason White will definitely have his hands full and have a lot of responsibilities, but he will be, again, barring unforeseen circumstances, will be the guy at the head of the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
A huge story that came out yesterday that involves a man who's been convicted for 2 different double murders. One of them, the charges were dropped because of faulty dealings by the FBI. Willie Manning, his nickname is Fly Manning, the state attorney general, Lynn Fitch, her office, early November, tried to have his execution date set, soon. And he's on death row for killing 2 former Mississippi State students in the late 1990s. The state Supreme Court, Willie Manning, has said he's maintained his innocence the entire time. He's never once pled guilty, never once admitted to anything. He said that there's been faulty methods of testing his DNA. He's wanting his DNA tested at a different lab than the one the FBI used. and he's trying to challenge his conviction. Well, the state Supreme Court said that there's enough evidence that they've gathered from other crimes to say, no, like, we can say that you've done this, but they're going to hear him out, let him, push this challenge, and the state Attorney General's office has until December 29th to respond to his challenge, but they're not going to set an execution date until they've resolved all of that.
Right.
So they're delaying the process. I personally think they will set an execution date at some point next year, but they're kind of kicking the can down the road just to kind of cross their T's and dot their I's there. But, I mean, it's kind of crazy what he's accused of doing. I mean, he's accused of killing the two students, John Steckler and Tiffany Miller, and then selling their possessions the very next day. He's also charged with murdering 90-year-old Emmeline Jimerson and 60-year-old Albertha Johnson in a Starkville apartment. The charges were dropped in that because a witness had admitted to lying to the FBI, a key witness lied, and but then he wanted his evidence checked at a different lab than the one the FBI used. It's a mess of a story, but the high court and the Attorney General's office are like, yeah, we have enough evidence to convict you of this, to have you finally executed after nearly 30 years.
Interesting.
And another huge story out of North Mississippi, a trio, a daughter and her parents, have been arrested for capital murder, but they were all arrested out of state. The daughter, Caitlin Spence, was arrested in Pennsylvania, and her parents, Jeffrey and Karen Spence, were arrested in Virginia for the December 2022 death of Kirby Carpenter. Caitlin Spence, the daughter, and Kirby were allegedly in a relationship. They had lived together, and she's accused of shooting and killing him, and the parents are accused of covering it up and fleeing the state and hiding. And, well, law enforcement officers with the help of the U.S. Marshal Services called them, and they're going to extradite them all back to Mississippi to face charges.
Wow.
And then, we're approaching holiday season, Gerard, and there's always got to be a Grinch that wants to steal Christmas. Some jerk in North Mississippi stole $3,500 worth of kettlebell donations at the Salvation Army in Tupelo. What? Why are you stealing from those?
From the kettle?
That's what it says. At the Carnation Street location in Tupelo. And the director there, the captain of that Salvation Army location, said that's about 3 days worth of donations for them. So someone's stealing from the less fortunate, as we approach Christmas season.
Unbelievable.
I know. Why would you do that? But, someone always wants to be the Ebenezer Scrooge or the thief of joy come holiday season. But, on a good note, though, we've had some good sporting headlines this week. For the first time since early 2000s, Patrick Shegog, a D2 athlete, won the Connerly Trophy, Delta State quarterback. He had 44 touchdowns, nearly 3,000 passing yards, nearly 700 rushing yards, only turned the ball over twice this season. I mean, he put up absolute video game numbers for the Statesmen, and he won it over Buki Watson, linebacker out of Mississippi State, and Quinshon Judkins, running back out of Ole Miss. And I was really happy to see Shegog win it because he definitely deserved it. I mean, the numbers he put up were incredible. Now, on Sunday, we'll see where Ole Miss is bowl-bound for football. A lot of Ole Miss fans, Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart, have vied for the team to get a New Year's Six bowl. We'll see if the selection committee puts them in one of those. I don't think it's likely. I kind of see Ole Miss in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl playing a Big Ten opponent.
Cheez-It now, huh?
It's the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. They're the title sponsor of it. And I see Ole Miss playing in that game. I don't think they'll get an Access Bowl. I think Missouri will get that spot over them, or another higher-ranking ACC team like Florida State if they lose to Louisville in the championship game tomorrow. But then we've got some basketball games coming up. Basketball season's now in full swing, and Ole Miss is the only undefeated of the big three teams in Mississippi. But Southern Miss tips off tonight at 7 p.m. against Andy Kennedy-led UAB. Southern Miss has kind of started off to a rough start this year. They're 3-4, but they were Sun Belt team of the year, not team of the year, but they won the Sun Belt regular season title last year, and Jay Ladner was the Sun Belt coach of the year last year. Ole Miss, the only undefeated team of the big three in the state, takes on Memphis in a big battle.
Game.
Big battle tomorrow at 1 p.m. Ole Miss has gotten Musa Cisse back, or he's eligible to play. He hasn't played a game.
Is he?
7'1". 7'1". And then Mississippi State, they had a bad loss on Tuesday night against Georgia Tech. They'll face Southern University on Sunday.
They're playing good basketball, though.
They're playing good ball. They had
a
a bad loss. They kind of lapsed a little bit on Tuesday night. They'll look to bounce back and get Southern, get back on track.
Yeah. It should be an intriguing basketball season here in the Magnolia
Absolutely.
State college level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Caleb. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you, Gerard.
We're coming right back, folks. We're in the Element Well studio.